Gentlemen, welcome. My name is Reviving Real News. Some of you fellows might know me. You might have interacted with me or conversated with me in comments or chats. I've been around here for a while. I was around here before any of this was popular and cool, before any of the so-called presidents, whatever have you, have been doing what they're doing, before all the videos with the ladies and whatever and have you become popular. It's been brought to my attention that I should speak up and I should be saying some things, because it's been told to me that my story is something that needs to be told and people need to hear it. And I've debated with this. I went back and forth. But in the last 10 days or 2 weeks, several things have happened, and I've decided it is time to do this. I had a neighbor who disappeared. That man disappeared because they took his ability to survive, clothe himself, shelter himself, feed himself, hygiene, transportation. That man said, I can't play a game that's designed for me to lose. And it had nothing to do with being alone or whatever people are going to tell you. It has to do with the ability to survive, the ability to take care of yourself. That on top of I had reached out to somebody that you guys watch his videos and you listen to him and frequent with him. And I explained to him what happened. And we conversated, and he reiterated that I need to speak up and say some things. So that's where we're at, fellas. I've debated back and forth where I'm going to go with this, how I want to start it, and what's important. I think I'm going to kind of do a little intro at the very beginning, and then we're going to build up to the real nitty-gritty. This is not a story or videos or messages for everybody. This is not a happy story. This is the harsh reality of my life. And I think a lot of other people's lives too that just don't say anything. People aren't going to like it. People are going to say what they're going to say to me. And I'm fully aware of this. But the thing is, when somebody has nothing to lose, what are you going to do to them? And truthfully, that's the one thing I had to tell myself. I've already lost every single thing that could possibly happen to me besides my soul and the breath in my lungs. So, again, this is not going to be pretty. I don't know how to sugarcoat things that well. But a lot of this stuff that we're seeing and listening to is BS. It's all pandering, it's all lies, it's all garbage. These guys don't have experience. These guys haven't been through whatever, and if they have, they're only telling you the tiny whatever of the story, because that's the only part of the story that is marketable, or you can make a whatever flashy thumbnail or get people to donate to. But I'm going to start kind of at the very beginning of 1988. Give you an idea of where my mindset and how I even became to going by myself or guarding my own wallet. And then get to where the nitty-gritty is. The actual things that affect us men. This started in 1988. I'm in kindergarten. I had made a friend with the bus stop, class, whatever. And one day, going to the bus stop, he's crying. I'm thinking he just, fell down, got hurt, what have you. He finally gets the, wherewithal to tell me he has to leave. And I finally figure out what that means, and it means his mom and dad are getting divorced. His dad's a firefighter, and his mother just decides to go monkey branch and leave him. Well, that right there was just weird, and it was something that obviously I never experienced or heard of, and it really made me like, wow, what is this? Like, this kid doesn't have a mom or dad no more, and he's got to move and miss school and all this other stuff. Fast forward a couple months later, gentlemen, My dad's mother, my grandmother, gets sick, goes in the hospital. One day my mother's acting all weird, frantic, crazy, hectic. She looks terrible, looks like something out of the Addams Family or what have you. My dad comes home with my sister. My sister's all looking terrible, all sick, marks all over her, heavy bruises, a sickly fever, like a deathly fever. He takes her to our family doctor. The gentleman runs his test, does what he does, and he's like, you got to take her to the ER now. She needs these specific tests done, blah, blah, blah. My grandmother and my sister both get diagnosed with leukemia about the same time. In the same immediate family, same bloodline. Something back at that time in our country was unheard of. That like this immediate family to get the same kind of leukemia was just rare, unheard of. That right there, fellas, was it. I didn't even have my parents for the whatever of my childhood and upbringing. My parents had to live in a Ronald McDonald house. Fast forward from 1988 to 1990. February 14th, my dad's mother, my grandmother, died. I knew it. That was my first, I guess, gut punch in my existence in this realm. When she died, I knew. I didn't need anybody to tell. I knew my life was over. I knew it. I knew it. And after her passing, you just saw the unraveling of everything. My life just got worse, worse, and worse. I saw things. I just questioned so much. Which translated to I had terrible parents after that. My family was destroyed. I mean, just gut-wrenched, destroyed. She was the rock of everything of our family. And my dad didn't know how to handle it and cope with it, let alone translate that into being a father. So I had to go through school, man. I didn't have no normal experiences as any other kids. I didn't. I had buried more aunts and uncles and grandparents before I had hit 4th grade than I know grown adults today that do. There's adults today that refuse to believe that before I was 9 years old, I had buried this many adults. And that's just harsh reality. But with all that being said, it obviously gave me an opportunity to develop and grow differently, and my observation of things was different. I saw things in school that made me question the whole marriage, the whole courtship, the insaneness with the women. Of course, I was going through puberty, and I got caught up with a fascination over girls and everything, but with that being said, so many things didn't sit with me. As I got older, into the 90s, divorce became more commonplace. You saw it more. TVs, MTV, BET. You combine that with the way our society was going, our culture, and even how the schools were. I saw it. I saw how the female teachers would treat us. Saw how they would treat the girls. Look, here's an example, great example. Back then, fellas, you remember starter coats were pretty big. I can't tell you how many times these females will put glitter or their whatever nasty products on people's $200 coats and hardly any kind of consequences for it. But if a dude, accidentally, whatever with the girl's hairband or did this or that to her dress or her stockings, that dude's suspended. Parents got to pay for everything, this, that, and the third. That's another thing that really stuck with me as a kid. I'm like, man, this ain't right. And then getting older, getting to high school, sophomore, junior years, just more and more things I saw I didn't like. Saw it from my friends' parents. I had male teachers that kind of told us, hey, don't do this. This is not what you're told. Question your parents, question your family structure, see the happiness and if it's real or fake. And I know this is probably going to be real controversial or a hot button topic, but the cultural nonsense was something that really threw me off. It was like a switch overnight. These women decided to start acting and dressing and talking like things and people they weren't. It didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense. I watched girls that I grew up with from like 4 years old until 16, 17 that at a flip of a switch changed. They become, I know what word I want to say, but I can't say it on here. They became indifferent to their own kind, let's put it that way, when they shouldn't have. And that didn't make sense to me. I'm like, wait a minute, what is this? So, like, that stuff rubbed me wrong. And I just saw more and more divorce, and I saw more and more adult men miserable, or more and more adult men going through you know what on this earth just for their kids or their wife, and then it was pure misery. You go over there to watch the football or play Super Nintendo, and the parents would never even be in the same room together. Wouldn't nobody be happy, or the woman would be doing whatever to make herself whatever for that night because she was going out separate from her husband. Just all these weird things that I didn't like. I didn't like how my female teachers that were not married acted, and how they talked about, you know, the high school athletes, or they talked about, you know, men in college. I didn't like any of this stuff. And I remember sitting one day and study all, because my family was very religious. And I was talking to God, and I said, God, please don't ever curse me or bless me with a girl. I don't want no girl. I don't want to be responsible for this. I don't want to contribute to any of this. I just saw it. I saw it, and it always bothered me. I saw the stuff my sister was allowed to get away with that was criminal. I saw the other things that girls were doing the older they got, and it was just ludicrous. It was just ludicrous. It made no sense to me whatsoever. I pretty much knew then and there that I was not going to get married. I didn't want to get married. I did not want any of this kind of stuff, because I knew then as a kid, because I had good schooling. I had good schooling, good education, and predominantly good teachers that I could go to. Yes, there were bad apples, but I was very fortunate. My parents knew their P's and Q's when it come to their kids' education. And like, I don't know, I just knew. I just asked them. I didn't want none of this stuff, and I saw and was told things. I got lucky. God heard my prayer. I didn't get blessed or cursed with any daughters. So I got lucky with that one. But fellas, like that stuff, all those experiences and things I saw and heard always had me thinking and questioning. And then, of course, you know, we're going to fast forward and skip a couple of my high school years, but let's get to you get older, your hormones and everything, so you do get distracted or sidetracked or thrown off the things you saw and experienced, because, you know, from your teenage high school years until your young adulthood, your early 20s, a lot of things change, you know what I mean? Like, so you do you get sidetracked, or just life happens and whatever, you know. More of the story, of course I got caught up with girls. Of course I got caught up with stuff. At the end, but I still kept to the no marriage and the none of this other stuff, and I got lucky with that. But, I just wondered if how many of you fellas, if you really thought about, look back and reflected of how many times you told yourself that this isn't right, I don't want to do this is BS. But then you just forgot about those things, and you ended up in the predicament you're in today because you forgot about them. Because I don't know. Now I'm older. I always wonder, like, man, I wish I would not have forgotten how disciplined I was as a kid in high school. Because, you know, that... all those things, fellas, bring us to the beginning. To the beginning of my story, my harsh reality. And one day I'll get back to my prologue. I'll get back to my youth. I'll get back to the damage that was done by my father and other individuals and other things that men don't talk about and stuff like that. But I graduated in high school. When I graduated, I ain't going to give out no years, none of that nonsense. We all know the world changed on that day with the 9 and the 1 and, you know, the other number and all that stuff. I can't say it on this platform. You guys know that. But my stuff starts a year or two after that with one of the OGs of our space or our arena. And I mean OGs, one of the reasons this place existed or is even anything. And we forget that. This place was here for 2 reasons. Divorce and child support. So we're gonna start my harsh reality in the early 2000s. Fellas, I don't know any of you like that. I don't know your experiences or what have you. Child support is not a joke at all. It is not. And I'm just going to say this, gentlemen, that you guys are in your 40s and 50s or your late 30s, and you're just now being hit with this, or you've been on it for a couple years now. My heart, my soul, my faith, everything goes to you, because I don't know how you guys are going to do it. Unless you've got your family helping you pay stuff, you've got somewhere to stay, people that you can eat and everything else. I don't see how. Because, gentlemen, personally, my experience, this happened to me when I was young, in my 20s. Okay? So I've dealt with this since the early 2000s to the present day as I'm sitting here recording this video. And besides fighting a war, I don't know any other situation on this realm that's worse. You guys do not understand that people that do things to women and kids and other criminal activities are treated better and looked upon better by society and the legal and criminal system than men who can't make it through child support. You guys do not have an understanding of the harsh reality of this, the bitterness, the degradation. I don't know how I've done it, guys. I know what I want to say, but I don't want to offend nobody and push nobody off, and I want to keep this place as cool and as calm and whatever as I can keep it, and keep out the political stuff as much as we can, or the beliefs and stuff, because I don't want somebody coming at me, and I'm not trying to go after nobody. But if somebody does know what my faith and beliefs are and you come at me, it's not a smart move on your part. And simply for the fact of, if I've made it to my age with child support my whole adult life, with nobody helping me, nobody anything, all of this on my own, by myself, and don't attack me for my faith. That's just not cool. But the child support, fellas, I can break down every single aspect of this to you in any way you want to know, except for some upper class or upper middle class perspective. Why child support? Why DNA order? Gentlemen, in this country that I reside in, which is America, I'm not saying United States, we're far from united. We know this. Let's be honest with each other. A lot of these women that do this have been programmed, raised, and babysat. From my generation, they were babysat and raised by BET and MTV. We all know what culture that was catered to, what music predominantly plays on it, everything in between, without me getting into this and that and the third. A lot of these females that you and I went to high school with, grade school with, maybe college or whatever with, also watch the same stuff. Same programming, same lyrics, same songs, same videos, everything. Well, who was strong and independent and stunning and brave? Who was always getting the checks at the first of the month? Who was always not having to pay rent or bills? You fellas get child support, and you fellas get DNA at your jobs, at your church, at your parents' house, your girlfriend's house, wherever they serve you. Because in the upper 80, lower 90% of American women do this because of the handout. Okay? I'm going to make this explicitly clear as I can. You guys are being gaslit into this child support. Okay? I really am curious of how many of you men are aware. You guys really don't get a choice over your child support. Okay? You're being lied to by lawyers, by the mothers, by everybody. The very few people who don't go through that are the upper class or the upper middle class, because their child support, the woman actually did go for the money. She's not getting the welfare, the EBT, the care source, whatever insurance it is, the cash assistance, okay? You gentlemen got your DNA or your summons because when that mother, or whatever you fellas call her, goes to your local county job and family services to get my poor handout and my poor me, by law, It's in writing and it's also in audio. They're required to give up any and every name that they've had inside them, outside them, on them, splashing them, whatever. They're required to give up every kind of information because somebody's got to pay for that stuff. Okay? Somebody's got to pay. You're getting your DNA and your summons because of the EBT, the Section 8, the city metropolitan housing, the care source, or whatever state insurance it is, the cash assistance, the daycare, and the government transportation. The few of you who make whatever money or made whatever money, I know where your child support is. And I know a lot of the people are lying. Okay? Your money's not automatically garnished out of your check. Automatic garnishes, fellas, a lot of us have that because a lot of our child support's done with the welfare system. Okay? You fellas are aware of your mother, of your children being on welfare. You'll never have to call nobody to have anything deducted out of your checks. Again, I should probably have a disclaimer. I can only speak on the county and the state that I live in and my stuff happened in. But I know for a fact, lawyers don't know their, you know what, from a hole in the ground. Judges, nobody involved in this does. They repeatedly tell you, you have to do these things, and you don't. That stuff automatically comes out of your check. You'll never have a chance to not pay it. That's why your DNA and your court summons happens, okay? It is the welfare and housing system. That's it. There is no middle ground. There is no wishy-washy. The other few, 5 to 7%, is because the mother wants the financial resources because they're not eligible for welfare and Section 8 and medical insurance. And that's just the cut and dry truth. There is no in-between whatever. I'm sure there's situations that I don't know of and is irrelevant to my life or my situation that are a little different. But that's not what I'm talking about. Fellas, you need to be fully aware of what the opposite side can, will, and is doing to you. You need to be aware of why it happens to you and when it's going to happen to you, okay? I'm pretty sure most of the people that, if anybody does listen to this, you guys aren't rich. You guys aren't making the whatever kind of income a year. So you guys are not in that other category. You're in the category that I'm in. And you guys do need to be aware of this. If you're doing whatever right now and you suspect something or you feel whatever, you have an inkling she's going to do something, she's going to JFS. She's going to Jobs and Family Services. And I'm telling you right then and there, that's when they do it. She has to give up all kinds of information, and then the algorithm and the court's database, the court's computer system tries to match whatever information they have to get a social security number. When the information and social security number match, that's when the diagnostic DNA nonsense and the magistrates come in with the summons. Because that's when you're told you have to show up and do your cotton swab and all that nonsense within so many days or you're going to be, contempt of court. That's why all this happens, fellas. This all goes down to the welfare and the freebie and free. And fellas, this stuff ain't right at all. It ain't fair. And I'm here to tell you guys, when you get in this, I don't know how to get out of it except bad things. Because if that lady is on the child support for the welfare, I'm not even sure, dude, if you could convince her or whatever to drop it or drop her arrearages, if the courts will even agree to it because of the welfare being involved. I'm only, like I said again, only in my state and my county can I speak on experiences, laws, rules, and everything in between because I've lived it, been through it, and I've got the skins to prove it. I'm only aware of people's arrearages or whatever being dropped in court because I've witnessed it or I've known people, and that's because it was not involving welfare. And this stuff's not easy to talk about. But that's just, dude, that's just the tip of the beginning of the nightmare. Like, a lot of this, man, it depends on how you're served and where you're served. That can affect your job. You can be fired from your job or let go if you get served by the sheriffs at your job. Like, it's humiliating and degrading. I can't compare any other experience to it, fellas. I can't. I absolutely can't. It's wow. But that right there is what starts everything, fellas. You need to be aware of the woman you're sleeping with or interacting with. Her everything like that. Her mother, the other people involved in her life, because that's going to give you a good clue if something goes south of what's going to happen to you. If the other people involved in her life, specifically other women, or whatever kind of category, or involved in them kind of systems by the government, you're in trouble. You are in trouble. A lot of these women are told by their mothers and grandmothers what to do. A lot of these women will have their mothers or other people involved pick out the men for them to do this with and to baby trap them. And that's another harsh reality. But the child support, fellas, man, that is something. We're going to get into all this. I just realized how long this is going. But I'm going to break down all of this, man, step by step. That DNA is just the beginning of it, man. You got to go through a whole other set of court appearances. And once that is over, fellas, this is truly Russian roulette. You have no control. I don't care what anybody else on YouTube is going to tell you. I don't care what this person on TikTok or Twitter is going to tell you. It's not the truth. It is Russian roulette. You have no authority and control over this. We're not even going to get into the stuff with the children. We're going to keep this right with you, your money, your job, and your living conditions. It's over. Like, I'll explain this to you guys in more detail in a different video in a later date. You guys are not aware of this, man. The state I live in, for example, we have, how do I say this? You can be dismissed from your job for any reason. It's like a right to work state, I think it's what it's called. You fellas need to seriously be aware. Especially now. Like back when this happened to me, I didn't have to worry about it as much as it is prevalent and everywhere all over this country today. You guys have to make sure nobody finds out about your arrearages or your court order out of your check. You guys need to go above and beyond to human resources and payroll to make sure nobody in your company or your employment knows about it. Your job, or the people that run the human resources, or the management, or the district managers, or area managers, you are a liability. Let me repeat that. Your child support makes you a liability. Once your manager, your general manager, or the higher-ups discover your actual net pay or your gross pay, and they say you work 50 hours and you get $87, they know you can't live. They know you can't eat, brush your teeth, buy socks. The first time somebody steals a hamburger bun or a roll of pennies, who do you think's getting blamed? Who do you think's being given the pink slip? Who do you think is being made out as the scapegoat for the theft or the loss of profit in said company? Or the equipment or tools being stolen? Like, this is, you fellas seriously have to have an understanding of this. This is a deadly game. Your job can and will absolutely tell you to kick rocks. You are a liability. You, again, fellas, people that do bad things to kids and women and sell you know what to women and children get treated and looked better than the man who's got to pay child support. This is just the tip of the iceberg, fellas. Like I will never forget when my assistant supervisor, the job that I was working when this happened to me, found out. I was so lucky and fortunate that he was an actual man and not a simp or a, you know what. I could have been fired right then and there, fellas. I had a job at a prestigious country club. I was constantly around people that I had no business being around. I was meeting people I had no business meeting because I was a nobody. And that happened to me at that job. Like, it's, fellas, this is just the beginning, man. You guys, that's just the beginning of it. You got to protect yourself. You got to make sure privacy is important, man. It's okay to be quiet and be a private person. You have to be that way if this is going to happen to you, if you're going through it. You have to be private. You have to demand privacy. You have to demand people stay out of your business, your paycheck stubs. You got to make sure if whatever is going on at your work, nobody has access. Your stuff's not out in the open. I'm telling you. And this is without the legal system or the prison system. We getting into any of that yet. You guys are going to, everything. Once the first time somebody finds out or somebody snoops in your stuff and notice and they know, that's it, fellas. And I know you guys aren't going to believe it or like it, but it's the truth, man. It is like a leaking faucet. Slowly but surely, your water bill's going up. Well, slowly but surely, you're going to lose anything and everything in your life. Everyone's going to walk away. All them friends from high school and junior high are going to disappear. All them females that was whatever, they're gone. Long gone. That guy you might have been getting smoke from or drinking a couple beers with, gone. Gone. Your mother and father, if they're anything like mine, gone. You're dead to them. Don't exist. You're an embarrassment. All of these things. You lose everything. You have no right to housing. It's, man, fellas, what child support does to you, I have no idea how men that don't have family or resources survive it. You can't. You guys just don't understand what it removes from your life. The state that I live in, you lose everything. You have no right to feed yourself. You have no right to fish for food. You have no right to hunt for food. You lose everything. Like, you lose everything, guys. Like, I can't state that enough. The severity and the seriousness of child support is very real. It is. And it ruins everything. Everything is changed. I mean, everything. Every single thing. Like how your child support is figured out in the beginning is terrifying. Fellas, most important piece of advice I could start off to give you, if you know you're about to go through something with this, you go get the worst job possible. Whatever it is. Because when you go to that magistrate for that final initial whatever, and he puts your taxes and your several years of work income into that court algorithm to figure out your yearly and then your monthly payments, you want it to be the lowest, crappiest opportunity that you can get yourself in. Yes. That's why I say I don't know how you fellas that are older than me that are just now going through this are going to be able to get through it in the next however many years, because, man, I've been through this. I know what happens to you. I know what everyone's going to do and say to you. Fellas, I'm going to go ahead and probably wrap up this little prologue or introduction here. But make no mistake, what I'm about to get into here in the next several videos and everything, It's going to be brutal. It's going to be harsh. It's going to be scary. I don't know how to sugarcoat it. I don't, man. Like, you guys don't want to know what that happens to you. Like, man, I'll give you a prime little example here. I had a great job for almost a decade. My boss was getting in his 80s. That guy retired. Some young you-know-what comes in, wants his own friends, his own college buddies in there. Of course I got laid off. Dude, don't nobody care. You're target number one. It is the most disgusting, criminal, inhumane thing I've ever seen on this planet, man, that I've ever experienced. The way they come at you and treat you and take everything from you is incredible. And fellas, when you don't have anything and these piranhas find out you don't have no mom and dad, you ain't got no siblings with money, aunts and uncles, you ain't got no friends or wives or no one like that that's going to be doing things for you and helping you, they come in and turn into great white sharks. These piranhas evolve and mutate into great white sharks, and it's over for you. Over. We're going to get into all of that. I'm going to tell you all of these things, man. And again, I'm only coming from my state, the county of my stuff that's in, and what I know. I understand, and I know, I'm fully aware of this. I don't need anybody to tell me that every county and every state in this country has different orders, laws, and guidance. I know this. That's why I don't like the lies and manipulation that I see on a daily basis. It's not a umbrella punishment or rules for everybody in this country. It's not. It is not. That's why I'm telling you, there's a whole different set of rules and everything for people like myself and some of you fellas. We're the kind of things that they want to take their boot and squash. You guys don't even want to know what the prison system thinks of you. You don't want to know what them COs, them unit managers, them staff sergeants, them COs that are about to retire in 8 weeks that got to put up with you, the COs and the sergeants that have to watch you when you're on job detail. You don't want to know what they think of people that are in prison for child support. Oh, you don't want to know. You guys don't want to know, man. Gentlemen, this is something I've never done before, but hopefully I got some things out or across that is interesting, or at least gets people thinking, and at least gets people aware, man, of how this even begins to start, why it starts, why it happens to you. And you kind of get an understanding that this is severe. This is deadly. This is worse than alimony. I don't care. I'm here to tell you it's worse than alimony. I've had grown men that are successful tell me that they have no idea how I'm standing living because they barely did it. They've got money and whatever, and they go through alimony. These are successful men. Successful men. It's... Man. You guys have got to protect yourself. You have to protect yourself. You have got to be situationally aware. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. You have to learn to start separating the stuff on this YouTube and the other places, guys. I'm begging you. Very little or very few of this is actual going the own way and guarding the wallet. It's all validation and entertainment anymore. Learn to separate these things into the proper categories. Pick and choose who you're listening to, and remember why you're listening or watching. Remember to separate them so you take the right messages for the right reasons. Stop following people or listening to people that have no skin in the fight. MGTOW is and was because of men separating from everything because of child support and divorce. This has nothing to do with a TikTok video. This has nothing to do with women saying whatever about men. This is about men trying to survive. Men whose livelihoods were taken from them. Men who were trying to navigate the hellish landscape that society has created. This was about men trying to figure out how to get food, how to find jobs, shelter. The men how to navigate getting employment when they have a record because of child support. This was a place for men to let it all out and to get it out in the open without anybody saying things or without ladies popping up and all this infighting and bickering and name calling and kings and queens and alphas and blah, 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 blah. No. You guys are garbage. You're garbage. You have one thing on me and that's it. Money. Money. Your money's gone. What are you going to do? Ask yourself that, fellas, who you're listening to and who you're watching. If these people didn't have their material things and their finances, what would they be? Would they be able to make a video to you or a message to you and get it across? Would it have something beneficial? Something you could apply to your life? So when all these people don't have their fancy videos and their money and their ways of guilting and gaslighting and manipulating, well, then who's the alpha, who's the leader and all this nonsense? Fellas, do you. Do you. You're your own leader. You're your own boss. Again, separate the messages. Separate all of it. Because we got to bring this back to what it was and what it needs to be. Nobody is above anybody. Nobody's better than anybody. I don't care what you look like, whatever. We're here for the supposed to be the same reasons. Not here for competition, popularity, for clout, or for, notch up the totem pole to leadership. No. If I can do anything, I would like to be able to stop somebody from getting stuck or from disappearing. I want to tell the truth. I want to be able to people to know what really happens and what really goes on, man. Nobody tells you what really goes on. And nobody tells you what the world's going to do to you. Gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up right here. Just think about things, fellas. And remember, it's okay to be by yourself. It's okay to be by yourself. It's okay to have thoughts in your head. It's okay to be angry, gentlemen. You're a man. You're supposed to have anger. You're supposed to have edginess. It's okay to be a man. It's okay to say I don't have a mom or a dad. It's okay to say, yeah, I'm going through child support and I have it bad. Because I don't think any of you fellas have it as bad as I do. And if I'm wrong, I'll be the first person to eat humble pie. I'll eat my crow. But I'm pretty confident in stating that you guys have not walked in my shoes. You guys don't want to experience homelessness. You guys don't want to experience starvation. You guys know what a concrete burn is? You guys don't want to experience these kind of things. So if I can even get one person to question their relationship or one person to get out of the system, then I've done something. Again, fellas, do you. You're your own leader. You're the only person in charge. Start looking in the mirror. Start giving yourself a little bit more credit. We got to be here for each other. It shouldn't be about who's what or who's got this or who. No, man. You should be able to enjoy each other's videos or messages and then get along and go our separate ways and talk about whatever. Not fighting and complaining and competing, and that's not helping anybody or saving nobody, fellas. That's not telling nobody what happens in the system. That's not telling nobody what happens with your housing, with your life, social, your employment. Those things aren't going to save you or help you, fellas. Just be careful with what you're listening to and what you're watching, and try to categorize it and make sure you're aware of where the categories are. Because a lot of this is just entertainment, man. Protect yourself, fellas. And I implore you, fellas, to find your faith, your morals, principles, values, your standards, your ethics, your beliefs, all of those things. You have to have something like that. If you stand for nothing, gentlemen, you're going to fall for anything. This has been Reviving Real News. I'll talk to you gentlemen soon.